difference in 12 seconds. What's the difference? There will be they're like picture games them, and you identify what's the difference or what is missing, what are you not saying. Welcome to this episode of self-care. We're looking at different areas of practicing self-care. Last week we looked at physical self-care. That is, how can we practice physical self-care? This week we will be looking at how to practice self-care mentally. Mentally, it means that we're looking at the mental aspect of our health that will help us to be productive and feel good about ourselves. And what are the possible ways, what are the practical things we can do to enhance our self-care mentally? What can we do? Is it going to cost us so much? Do we have to hit our head to feel good? Or what do we need to do? We will be looking at the processes or the things we can do that are practical to us. The number one thing I'll be talking about today for your mental health is having a social media detox. Yes, we are in the age where social media is something we engage in. We have Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media sites. We see different things, we have our friends, we look at what they do. But if you need to re-energize, if you feel your productivity is going down because of what you're seeing and is affecting you mentally or even emotionally, you might need to take a social media break. That is, you don't have to scroll through what other people are doing. You just have your me time. You spend your time by yourself, with your thoughts. Mentally, you will feel good. Another way you can practice self-care mentally is journaling. And what do I mean by journaling? Well, it is writing about your day, or maybe a gratitude journal, or an activity journal that talks about how your day has been. Okay, I started practicing journaling in January. Before now, when I do things, it feels like I have not done enough. But then I started journaling. At the end of every month, I write what I achieved, what I've been able to do. It's more like counting your blessings, counting the good things. By the time I'm done journaling, I'm like, oh, you've done a good job, TSA. I give myself a pat on the back and say, no, it might seem little, but a tiny drop of water makes a mighty ocean. So journal, it will help you. Just write down things. It doesn't have to be a long epistle, but it could be a journal of, okay, what have I been able to do this month? Even if you have goals, but every little thing matters, you know. So journal, write the good things that have happened to you. Did you get married? Write it down. Did you go somewhere you've been reluctant to go? Write it down. There are little things that matter. So journaling helps your mental self-care. Another way to practice self-care mentally is writing down goals. Right? You need to write down goals, what you need to achieve. That way it helps to put you in check instead of having this mental mix up. You have a lot to do, but you can't place it. Have I done this? Have I done this? But if you write it down, it's going to be helpful. There's a quote that says, a blunt pencil is better than the sharpest brain. When you write it down, it helps you to know what you've done, what you need to do, and what should be done. So penning down your goals, things you want to achieve, it's also helpful to your mental self-care. It's not enough to just have them up here, but when you write them down, you'll be able to know what to do to achieve those goals. Another thing you can do for mental self-care is reading books that help you to grow, reading books that interest you, reading books that add to your knowledge. It's like you are increasing your mental elasticity to remember, to recall things that you never know you're learning. Even in books you learn. I find it difficult to read for a long time, but Part of my ways to help myself mentally is reading a book, at least reading a book in a month. And I've been working on it. Even when it feels like I can't go on, I know that whatever happens, I need to finish a book in a month. That's way I learn more things I don't know. I'm learning, and my brain is taking it more. That could be helpful to you too. It doesn't have to be an encyclopedia or a big book. It might be a book, books that can help you, that can stimulate you. You can do that. You can read books that will stimulate your mental capacity. Read books that will help you to learn more, even more than what you think you know. The books help. So it's good to read. Another way to build your mental self-care is playing games, but not just any kind of games. For example, there's a game I play, which is the game is more like spotting the difference in 12 seconds. What's the difference? There will be they're like picture games, and you identify what's the difference or what is missing, what are you not saying. This kind of games, they are helpful to the brain. It increases your cognitive memory, it increases your cognitive skills. You need games that will stimulate your brain. It's a good way for mental self-care. Another way to practice mental self-care is positive thinking. You need to think right, and remember, if you journal, there's maybe a gratitude journal. It will help you to also think positive. So ensure that you think positively. Ensure that you focus more on the positive. I'm not saying you shouldn't think about, I won't say negative here, but thinking about possibilities of maybe what could go wrong or anything, but don't dwell on it. Think more on the positive. It's going to be helpful. Another way you can practice self-care mentally is learning a new language or learning something new to you. It helps your brain, it helps you mentally. Okay, this year I've learned to play the Rubik Cube. I challenged my brain to learn to play with the Rubik Cube. I see it interests me, and I just know that I can do it. Another thing I've learned or I've started doing is learning a new language. I wanted to challenge my brain. I speak Yoruba as my mother tongue, right? But how I still don't know the proverbs, not to talk of other man's language. But guess what? Let me say the same German language, which is Deutsch. Ich heiße TSA und meine Muttersprache ist Yoruba, aber ich lerne Deutsch. Deutschland is groß. It is a little difficult, but it is exciting. It's as sure, aber African. Now that sounds weird, right? But I've been able to learn these things. I can say other things. I'm beginning to write, speak. I'm increasing my brain capacity. So you can do that as well. You can just challenge yourself mentally. Can I do this? Don't think you can do it. You can. These are ways you build your mental capacity. That way you will build resilience as well, knowing that even when it feels difficult, you can come out of it and be stronger and be better mentally. So I hope you've learned something today. Thank you for watching this episode of Self-Care Mentally. We'll catch up next time on other areas of practicing self-care. Bye.